Ladies and gentlemen, here are the examples involving the workplace and economy.
You can make choices to have both career and family without people assuming it's a challenge or an unusual achievement for you to have it all. No idea what that means. You're not insulted for going against your gender's nature for choosing to have a career, but not children. What does that have to do with anything? If you choose to have children, you're not questioned about how having a family would hurt your ability to do your job. Well, women are not questioned about how staying at home would affect their income. As a parent, you get more professional opportunities, avoiding the motherhood penalty that hurts women's careers if they have children. You mean like the fatherhood bonus, which is completely irrelevant in our society today. You're less likely to take on childcare costs if your children have a mother you don't live with. That's only if the father gets custody of their kids, which is 365 to 1. You're paid more for your work. On average, white women earn 78 cents to white men's dollar, with wages going down to 64 cents for black women, 54 cents for Latino women, and 59 cents for Native American and Alaska Native women. The reason men get paid more for their work is because they're under pressure to provide for their families.
Hey dude, relax yourself.
Yeah, Ben Thicad will make a video on why men make more money than women do.
Okay, thanks for that. You get more financial support for your work, like more financing for resources, more funding for startups, more lab and office space. Lucky me.
Sounded like he roasted the person who wrote this article.
So, not now. You're assumed to be the leader of your household, so you can avoid stereotypes like assuming you'd have to check with your husband about taking a promotion. I don't know how that's a male privilege, but that's hilarious. If you have a man's name on your resume, you're more likely to get an interview for a more prestigious job than if you had a woman's name. Not really a male privilege, since there are a handful of women with men's names, and a handful of men with women's names. You're more likely to work in formal employment, which is government regulated to ensure wages and certain rights, and less likely work in pink-collar jobs like domestic labor, which are considered women's work and have less stability, job security, and pay. Here's a fact. Most of the formal employment that men apply for are usually dangerous, and men are completely obligated to take these jobs, or at the very least demand to take these jobs. You have a lower risk of living in poverty. 1 in 7 women and 4 in 10 single mother families are poor, with a poverty rate for Native American, Black, and Latino women at almost double the rate for white women. And this is why women leech onto men who are wealthy. If you're a single father, that doesn't put your household at the highest risk for poverty. Lone mother households are most susceptible. That privilege is also rare. As Dirk said, single fatherhood is hard to achieve. You can negotiate for raises, promotions, and more without being seen as too aggressive. How are women seen as aggressive when they negotiate for going up the corporate ladder? You're not stereotyped at work as not belonging in higher paid roles, like being mistaken for the nurse if you're the doctor, or for a secretary when you're a lawyer. To a certain extent, this is true. You can put little time into your appearance without a negative impact on your work life, like having people believe you're unprofessional or not put together. So, men have a shorter morning routine. You can spend less on products to maintain your professional appearance. Women are expected to spend more on clothing, accessories, and beauty products, even when they're earning less. Another example of why women suck men's wallets dry. You can be assertive at work without being labeled bitchy or bossy. You'd be surprised how many people expect men to be assertive at a young age. You're more likely to be perceived as a leader. You're right, we're also likely to be perceived as an asshole. You can benefit from good old boy networks that are the key to many paths to success. Looks like I'll have to look into those later on. If you're never promoted, it's not because of your gender. You're right. It's most likely because we don't work hard enough. You're less likely to be penalized for not putting up with sexual harassment and misogyny from co-workers and bosses. They're often normalized as part of the workplace, with one survey showing 1 in 3 women experiencing harassment at work. Well, women aren't penalized for not paying child support. Nor are they penalized for not signing up for the selective service, considering that they don't have to sign up for it. You're less vulnerable to gender norms trapping you in financial abuse. For women in relationships with abusive men, society's idea of men as breadwinners can make financial abuse go unnoticed and more difficult to recover from. What gender norms, exactly? If you're careless with money, it's not attributed to your gender. Yeah, it's attributed by how stubborn we are. Hiring managers in well-paid fields like science and technology look for masculine stereotypes that led them to view you as more favorable than a woman candidate. Gender biases make them judge the same qualifications more positively for men. Is this why men are more represented in STEM fields? You can get upset at work without people blaming your emotions on hormones, PMS, or being oversensitive. Hey, get out of here, Drew Pickles. You're less likely to have your failures at work as a sign that your gender shouldn't be doing this type of work. This is especially true in male-dominated industries and leadership positions. Not in this female's nation.
What the heck? It's still a man's world, idiot.
You can take jobs like service industry positions in restaurants or bars without worrying about normalized sexual harassment based on your gender. Sexual harassment? Like what? You're not assumed to be responsible for menial lady tasks, like decorating for the office party. Don't know what that means, but I'll accept it.
Yeah, me too.
You're less likely to be addressed with demeaning language at work, and more likely to be addressed with respect, unlike women who are referred to as girls or called nicknames reflecting stereotypes of women as intellectually inferior, like honey and sweetheart. But that happens outside the workplace too, doesn't it? You can look up to professional role models of your gender in your field and see them lauded for their achievements, not just their appearance. More role models in the work area, I see. You're not stuck between the stereotype of your gender being dependent on a partner and the shame directed at women who choose to be or have to be. What does it mean by shame for either choosing or forced dependence? You're more likely to be remembered for your own work accomplishments, rather than your marriage or appearance. In unemployment or in death, your gender is more represented in higher paid positions. For instance, women are fewer than 5% of Fortune 500 CEOs. Should we be ashamed for our male-dominated entrepreneur industry? You can have your skills recognized in well-paid positions like tech fields. For instance, researchers found that women software developers who make up a very small percentage of the field had their coding work rated higher than men in a study, unless they reveal their gender. What idiots. You're more likely to have your work cited in journalism and political science. Women experts are cited so rarely that some political scientists created Women Also Know stuff to encourage people to also include the expertise of women. Why is political science even a thing? You're less likely to have people justify not hiring people of your gender with the belief that there are simply no qualified candidates of your gender in the field. Just say there are no spots available as of now, and leave it at that. Difficult? Not really. You're less likely to work in jobs that commodify pleasant emotions, with roles that give service with a smile like flight attendants, assumed to be natural roles for women. Okay, this one is just completely stupid. You're not expected to put in unpaid emotional labor, like maintaining office harmony, in addition to your work duties. People don't believe that your gender is just more suited to this often unrecognized and uncompensated work. Unpaid emotional labor. Really, mate? You're less likely to have clients and colleagues ask someone of another gender a question that should have been directed to you. In one survey, 88% of senior-level women in Silicon Valley reported this happening. Teach these people to find the right person to ask. Alright, that was crazy. Stay tuned for the second to last section, childhood and education.